Alright, my friends, welcome in to the first ever studio edition video podcast of Welcome to On the Field with Feirman. So here we are. What we do is we break down all the games, predominantly football right now. It's a sports show. We like to have a little comedy in here. I'll bring in some guests from time to time. We'll make you laugh a little bit. This show will predominantly be about this weekend's games. Excuse me, the football games were actually excellent. Very rarely do you see two championship games on Sunday come down to 3-point games, one go into overtime, as a matter of fact. I mean, it was great. You see the memorabilia I got around me. You may have noticed San Francisco 49ers shirt, along with my man Joe Montana. I got another jersey by Joe Montana back here. It's a cheap jersey. I'll explain that a little bit to you. But, yeah, I'm a diehard 49er fan, so this weekend was really, really rough for me for a lot of reasons. But the first and most obvious is the obvious absence of Ted Ginn Jr. was huge. Not really because of the passing game or anything, which the 49ers were extremely inept. I mean, Vernon Davis was the only guy catching anything on the field. Everybody else was really catching the cold out there in the rain. It was pretty pathetic, but for the most part, it was really bad. Kyle Williams is not a guy who normally does return punts. He has from time to time. We all know that the first one went off his leg, and that led to 7 points for the Giants right there. And then the crucial one at the end of the game where he fumbled. He let the ball go. Giants get it in field goal territory immediately. I'm kind of surprised they didn't kick a field goal almost right away. They ran like 4 plays before they decided to do that, which is kind of risky. But nevertheless, it's what they did. They won the game, and I hate to put blame on one person, and I'm not going to because it's a team game. The 49ers were terrible on third down. I think they were 1 for 13. So, but look, if Ted Ginn's in that game, that ball doesn't go off his leg, he stays away from it, or he fields it properly, and most likely he's not fumbling anything even in that bad weather because there weren't any turnovers except for the 2 by Kyle Williams. So again, you know, I don't want to put blame on one person, but when it comes down to it, that was the missing piece. The 49ers this year were based on defense, based on not turning the ball over, and on special teams. And that happened. They turned the ball over on special teams because we were missing our guy. And that was a key concept to the team. Look, there's offense and defense, but there's special teams also. That's a big part of the game. Not to mention the fact that we have Andy Lee as a Pro Bowl kicker, and David Akers, who was the best kicker in the league this year as well, going to the Pro Bowl. So special teams was a key for the 49ers, and we were inept in that regard because of the fact that we didn't have Ted Ginn. It was a big part of it. I'm not going to again say we would have won the game had he been there, but those things would not have happened, and the chain of events may have been different. The 49ers played great defense. I mean, they held Eli Manning to, really no third down conversions when he was wiping the floor with him in the first quarter. I mean, he had Victor Cruz everywhere, all over the field. Carlos Rogers couldn't cover him. He's a Pro Bowl cornerback. So he really ripped him up. But they adjusted in the second half, and it was a close game. It was only 3 points. Niners come out and score, take the lead 14-10, and they're playing good D the whole game. But again, the problems on special teams led to Eli Manning, scoring another touchdown, and of course the field goal at the end of the game. Giants played great D. They started pressuring Alex Smith. Didn't really sack him a bunch, but they made him scramble around. He had to scramble and run for a few first downs, made him force a few bad throws. So there was a lot of things involved that made the game what it was and resulted in the outcome that it was. So you can't blame it all on one guy, but again, it's a huge part of it. So look, the Giants are moving on. Eli said in the beginning of the year that he is an elite quarterback, and he's proving that in every way, shape, or form, even now comparing results to his older brother, Peyton Manning, who's just in elite status of all time, not just, top 5 quarterbacks this year, but top 5 of all time. So when you start talking about Eli like that, I mean, look, this guy's putting himself up there. You go ahead and you grab yourself a 2nd Super Bowl ring. That's elite status. So Eli does stand for elite in that respect. He played a great game, over 300 yards, a couple of touchdowns. And look, he really managed the offense. He got smashed. The 49ers were beating him left and right. It was silly. The guy kept getting up. It looked like he got beat up after, like in a school fight or something like that with all the dirt that was on him and whatnot. Beat to shreds, sacked 6 times, hit a whole bunch more, but kept getting up, didn't turn the ball over. He fumbled once, but was recovered by the Giants. And Eli played a great game, and they had to rely on him because the 49ers have a fantastic rushing defense. So there was no way that Ahmad Bradshaw was going to get over 100. He had 70. He ran the ball pretty good. But again, no 100 yards. Brandon Jacobs was a non-factor. But look, kudos to the Giants, their coaching staff. They did a great job. They did what they had to do. Defense played great. and on to the Super Bowl they go to play the New England Patriots, who really squeaked by with one. A lot of questions and answers in that game. Big question that was answered is Joe Flacco. Can he play quarterback and lead this team to a Super Bowl? The answer is yes, regardless of the fact that they're not going. The answer is yes. He played well enough. He threw a touchdown game-winning pass at the end that Lee Evans just got knocked out of his hand at the very last second by the defender of the New England Patriots. Otherwise, we're talking about a Ravens Super Bowl right now against the Giants in a different rematch, going back to 2000, not 2007. So the Ravens played great football, great defense. Brady wasn't himself, and a lot of that had to do with the scheming of the Ravens defense. They didn't move around a lot. They played their game. They stayed within themselves. Picked off Brady twice, and Brady no touchdowns. Wes Welker wasn't that big a part of the game. Gronkowski and Hernandez did play well, but not a lot of yards on offense. So kudos to the Ravens. And again, Flacco drives them down at the end of the game to at least tie it and go into overtime. Shanked field goal, and I put a lot of the blame on John Harbaugh, the coach. I mean, you got to call a timeout in that situation. Cundiff, the kicker, is late getting on the field. They're not ready. They're rushing. There's 1 second left on the play clock by the time they snap the ball, and he shanks it left. And look, you got to make that kick. He's been around for a little while, Cundiff, but they should have called a timeout. You have a timeout. Take it. Regroup. It's a big kick. Yeah, I know you don't want him to have a bunch of time to think about it and let the psyche get all messed up, but you don't want him rushing out there on a pressure kick as well and having to rush through it and kick. That's a pressure kick. So either way, the guy's got pressure on him, but at least let him get prepared. So bad move. Maybe, if the field goal goes through, if they have time and they go on to overtime, maybe it's a different result, but nevertheless, the New England Patriots are moving on to their 5th Super Bowl in a matter of 11 years. Brady tying John Elway as the only starting quarterback to go to 5 Super Bowls, started as quarterback in 5 Super Bowls. Good time Montana and Terry Bradshaw as the only starting quarterbacks with 4 Super Bowl rings. So Brady's already in elite status, but he could move himself higher, maybe even to number 1 of all time without even question, because he's doing a great job. They don't have a great defense, so he's forced to put up 40 points a game, which they usually do. The defense is playing better now, so they're more of a complete team. But when you got guys like Julian Edelman guarding a slot receiver, which is going to be Victor Cruz a lot of the time in the Super Bowl, I mean, come on, you don't have a chance there. So Belichick, who is the master at taking away your best player and scheming well like he did against Ray Rice. Ray Rice was a non-factor in the Baltimore game. What's he going to do here? You take away Akeem Nicks? You take away Bradshaw? You take away Victor Cruz? I mean, what are you going to do? There's so many guys you got to deal with, so he's got a tough task ahead of him. Right now, the Giants are actually underdogs in this game. It's a 3-point favorite for the New England Patriots, which I understand. It's all about Vegas and money and trying to get money to swing evenly and whatnot. I do get it, but I would say a lot of people are betting on the Giants heavily right now, and that line will go down eventually. There's no question about it. So, 2 great games we had over the weekend. It should be another fantastic Super Bowl. I mean, these playoffs have been really special. You had a little Tebow action. You had Houston making that nice little run, playing excellent defense. Could have easily won that game, if not for special team blunders by their guy, Jacoby Jones. So there's a lot of factors that went into the Patriots and Giants getting there. Patriots and Giants both very hot at the end of the season. Neither one of them lost a game in a long time. Patriots haven't lost a game in a few months. So all the talk about the Giants being the hot team going in, which they are, don't sleep on the Patriots, man. They got a great offense. They got the best quarterback in the game. And they got a defense that's playing much better and probably still the best coach in the game. So it's going to be a great Super Bowl. I'm really looking forward to it as much as I possibly can, given the fact that my boys are no longer in it. And there you go, Joe. Why don't you head on down there for a little while? I know you're ashamed too. Let me put him back up here. So look, rough game, rough weekend for me. I didn't expect it to be there in the beginning of the year anyway, but the fact that we were there and we're this close to actually going to the Super Bowl, it really hurts. It's going to take a little time to get over it. You got to give me courage for coming on the show today and actually going ahead and giving you my my P's and Q's and what I think is going to happen regarding the game and my analysis of the weekend, albeit bitter and whatnot. But I am here. I am breaking the games down for you. We're going to get predictions for the Super Bowl coming up. We'll talk a little New York sports. Not so much these guys right about yet because, let's face it, they don't give it as much headlines to speak about the New York Mets. But the Knicks are giving headlines for all the wrong reasons right now in New York. They're losing a bunch of games to teams that they should be just beating down. It's really embarrassing. Amari Stoudemire hasn't been the same since Carmelo Anthony arrived. The Lakers seem to be back. Even the Mavericks are getting back after a really slow start. The Spurs are playing well with 11 wins right now. The Heat are playing well. So, you got the Bulls. I mean, geez, I thought maybe they had been a fluke, but Derrick Rose is the real deal. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the sports world right now. Pro Bowl's next week. Do you care? Don't you care? We'll talk about that a little bit, but thanks for sticking around. Again, there goes more Mets memorabilia. Carlos Beltran, you know what? You're out of here. You're not even on the team anymore. Forget about it. Thanks for coming. Anyway, bottom line is we'll get into a little bit more. We'll come back with some more predictions. And thanks for sticking around. By the way, you can always catch the sports blog on www.sportsforfans.blogspot.com. That 4 is the number 4. Again, www.sports4fans.blogspot.com. Every day to every other day, I'm updating it with new blogs and whatnot. You can always leave your comments, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. So stick around. We'll be back in a few, and now we'll get into segment 2.